Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm your host, Dr. Haider Shah. On behalf of Calvas, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we have another very interesting topic. I'm really honored to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest speaker who is going to talk about how to overcome challenges in PhD, to publish or to graduate on time. Research journey is very interesting but yet full of challenges as well, which makes you more strong, capable, competent, and knowledgeable. But you just need to have the right guidance and appropriate strategies to overcome all these challenges. So, indeed, a very interesting topic, and I'm sure in this session you are going to learn new amazing things as you will get the best insights, the right information, as we have an expert with us in today's this session. So stay tuned because an amazing stuff are coming ahead in this session. So before we start, I would like to thank all of us for arranging such enlightenment sessions, for their support and providing us such a wonderful platform. The aim of Calvas is to give you the opportunity to connect and interact with world renowned speakers, academic leaders, teachers, authors, researchers, experts, professionals, and businessmen to learn from their experiences, recommendations, and suggestions, which will create an impact and will enable you to learn and develop yourself in order to grow and transform individually, as well as to contribute to the world in a positive way. As our slogan is come, learn, and share knowledge. So today we have an amazing person as a guest. She is a versatile person with amazing great qualities, having vast experience and exposure, an internationally known and recognized speaker. We always see her on different platforms while contributing to the world, and moreover, through her great knowledge and wisdom, people are getting the right guidance and knowledge. So let me introduce her formally. She is a professor of mathematics at the Faculty of Science, University Technologi, Malaysia, UTM Johor Bahru. She received her BSc honors and masters and PhD in mathematics from the State University of New York, USA. Her specialization of research in group theory, graph theory, formal language theory, spline system, and their application. Moreover, she has written more than 500 research papers in national and international journals and proceedings, mainly in the area of the group theory and formal language. She has also supervised and graduated 36 PhD students, 25 master students, and 83 undergraduate students under her supervision. This includes the youngest PhD holder in Malaysia Book of Record 2014 at the age of 24. So, last but not the least, she is a wonderful speaker, author, teacher, researcher, professional, and above everything, a great human being. So, please help me in welcoming our guest, Professor Dr. Nur Haniza SARMIN. We can call you the Prof. Niza. Welcome to the Calvas platform, and thank you very much for joining us, Prof.
Thank you very much, Dr. Haider. Thank you for the invitation and very kind introduction. Greetings from University Teknologi Malaysia, although I'm at home right now at 9 p.m. in Malaysia. And everywhere you are, if you are morning or afternoon or evening, I hope everyone is very well, sitting very, very comfortably at home. So thank you again, Dr. Haider and Kalwas, for inviting me. It's my pleasure. So
Yeah,
if I can
pleasure.
share my
Yeah.
slide, Doctor.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure, Prof. And it's really entirely our pleasure to have you with us because today we are going to learn a lot from you. So these are the slides. Okay, Prof. Thank you, and let's get started.
Okay, as mentioned by Dr. Haida, the title of today's sharing is How to Overcome Challenges in PhD. Actually, not only PhD, Dr. Haida, it can be also in master's or postgraduate. And I will focus more on research, whether we need to publish or we need to graduate on time. All right. Just to share a little bit, Dr. Haida has shared where I graduated from. So in the US, the duration is a little bit different for the PhD, but I managed to graduate in 40 months from the university for my PhD. What is actually GOT? Graduate on time. It refers to students who completed their study within normal duration. So it can depend and vary depending on the country. Dr. Haida, you still remember you studied in Malaysia, right? In Universiti Malaya.
Yes, Prof.
What is the duration of GOT actually, if you remember?
Yes, Prof. They say as soon as early, but the 3 years minimum within the duration time. Yes, Prof.
Okay, okay, within 3 years. So the duration of graduate on time for PhD in actually UTM, or what we call Malaysia Research University. We are one of the 5 research university in Malaysia. So 42 months, meaning from the day you register until you get your Senate letter. And for the university in Malaysia in general, we call it MOHI, which is Ministry of Higher Education. It's 48 months. So this is the normal duration of for GOT, right? Okay, before I, because the participants joining here is in YouTube, right, Dr. Haida?
Yes, Prof. They are watching us on YouTube.
Okay, so
Yes,
hello everyone. If you can type your name, if you can put there where you study, or at least the country that you are studying now, maybe later on Dr. Haida can share with me. And I
sure.
also have some ideas on who and where you are from, because it might be different. I might have the idea to explain in more detail, specifically if like you are master student, you are PhD student, and whether you are from Pakistan, you're from Malaysia, you're probably from UTM, probably some of my students are watching. So the duration of study for full research, depending on your master's or doctoral degree that I share, this is for UTM. For master's degree, the minimum number is 1 year, which is 2 semesters, and the maximum is 8 semesters, which is 4 years. As of probably most of you are doctoral degree, the minimum is actually 3 years, which is 6 semesters, which is also you will GOT, and also the maximum is 8 years, which is 16 semesters. So, as of the title, do we want to graduate on time, or do we want to do all just publish and do publications? Right? The answer would be they are both important. For GOT, for graduate on time, if you graduate on time, it signals that you are an organized person. You really focus. You are responsible and you can meet the deadline. And also, you need to graduate on time because you probably have scholarship, which is only for 3 years. And you also have study leave probably from your university to continue for your PhD, and you cannot extend. It depends, right? You have to graduate on time. And also the university and our country's Malaysia aspiration for our PhD to graduate on time, and probably many others. This is just a few of the reason for GOT. And why do I say publication is also important? If you don't publish, it depends on the thesis submission requirement. I'm sure in Universiti Malaya, in UTM, in your university, you have this requirement. So you have to publish before you can submit your thesis for Viva. Second one is this is you are able to publish. When you publish, you show that you actually know what you are doing and you have the potential of advancing your field. The third reason is a bonus for being hired. People want to hire you because you do lots of publication. We want to have someone who can publish in probably a very reputable journal. And also they are PhD by publication, that the thesis is based on your publication and certain requirement that you need to do for publication. And why else do we publish? So we want to pass on the knowledge that we have gained. We don't want to just keep it to ourselves. We want to share with the whole world. We want to prove the novelties. That is how and why and the reason we can get our PhD, to do novelties, to increase our academic prestige, to secure further funding. If you apply for funding, you need to publish. And also to get a promotion. So when you finish your PhD, you become a lecturer. Probably you want to go to assistant lecturer, associate professor, professors, and others. So you need to publish. And they say if your research is not published in any journal, then it does not exist. Nobody knows. Nobody can even cite you. And I checked this in lens.org and I typed splicing system. And I want to see who are the top authors display name of splicing system, as mentioned by Dr. Haider. It's one of my research expertise. My name falls. It's very small, but the one that is circled, 1, 2, 3, 4, probably number 4, number 5, not many. And in Asia, it falls in number 1 because this is a new area of research that I'm doing for splicing. My second area of research is group theory. So I try to check group theory. And top author display name, the first one, in Asia and in Malaysia. And these come from the publication that we send and publish. And people cite our papers. Dr. Haider shared also about my graduated 36. Now it's 39. Alhamdulillah, Dr. Haider. So I graduated
Yeah.
this many PhD students from 2012 until 2022 this year. And you can see from the faces maybe, why do I circle those two? Because they're from Pakistan.
Pakistan. Yes, bro.
Yeah.
We can recognize them. Yes, bro.
So you can see it's a mix of locals and internationals and Malaysians. So this just to share my experience tonight with my PhD students. So I would like to share the list of these students and when they submit their thesis. And don't worry about the title, it's all math, but that is depending on some of them, they are part-timers. They work full-time. So you can see we used to have the part-time PhD, right? And this is the next 10 of the students. And the next 10 of the students. Some of them, they are fast track, meaning they are first class undergraduate, they skip their masters and they do their PhD right after their undergraduate. And they can still finish in like 6 to 8 semesters. And so this is the last one for last year and hoping to get more this year. Okay, and just to share again, the percentage of students who graduated on time, depending on whether they graduate on time under the UTM duration or the MOHI, Malaysia, of Ministry of Higher Education. And for this Ministry of Higher Education, if you remember, it's 48 months. So we get almost, right? Probably, you know, Dr. Haider, the one that did not graduate on time, I still remember this student. He was in 7th semester and he did not want to submit the thesis because he liked Malaysia so much. So I said,
That's very true.
I
Malaysia is a
said,
wonderful country.
yeah, I said, because you have still your scholarship, and although you like Malaysia so much, you have to submit your thesis. So that's the one student who did not graduate on time. All right, so you can see that it is very possible. And right now I have 10 PhD students with me. They are on various semesters. So some of them, I expect them to finish this year and next year. And this one just coming into the second semester. Okay, now this is the big question, right? That everyone wants to know the answer. How to graduate on time? How to graduate on time? You know, the journey, the master's journey, this is taken from our graduate school sketch. You think that master's journey is this just a straight path? Not necessarily, right, doctor? And of course, this is our PhD journey. like this, like a snake. So you have to realize that this research journey is not just a straight path. Okay, there are hurdles. And as a student, of course, before you register, you had to choose your supervisor, right? Or probably the university chose for you. But you have to know your supervisor's expertise. How many of you check the background of your supervisor before you accept and meet your supervisor, especially for the first time, right? You have to know their reputation, their personality, what do they like and what they don't like, right? The age, you don't want your supervisor to retire before you finish, right? And some of the background or family background. And normally students get it from checking the CV in the website. You choose the topic. You choose the topic that you and your supervisor are familiar with, so your supervisor can help you. Most your PhD thesis is yours, but the supervisor is there to help out. And before registering, you have to make sure you don't want to burden yourself with financial problem, right? You have already your research to think about, your scholarship, your study leave. And if you are self-sponsored, then that is why you need to GOT and also the family support. Factors contribute to timely completion. You can see the student's qualities and personal situation. You have to have your master's, right, before you further for PhD. Or if you fast track, you must be a really good student, first class student to go straight to PhD. Supervisory and scholarly environment is a factor to contribute. Research facilities and resources, right? This is the factors that can help you to complete on time. And the timeline for GA2, you have to know this is the timeline for the students in UTM, I believe, in Malaysia also. Say you have 6 semesters, 3 years to complete your PhD. You had to know what you had to take in the first year, the second year. Like my PhD, we had to take like 5 courses for the first 1 year. And then I start the research right away in the first semester. So you have to know which courses that you have to take. Take it in the very beginning. And what kind of the other like structured courses that is offered in the university. Meaning it is your responsibility to know what is required of you as a PhD student. Then you do your planning from actually the very first semester. You have to know until what is the path until the end, and especially until your thesis submission, right? When you register, every semester you need to register. And some even master student, they are qualified to go through PhD after the qualifying, right? You have to know in the third semester, I'm talking about UTM or Malaysia, that you had to take your first assessment in the third semester. So you had to be ready, publication or your proposal to pass the first assessment. If you don't pass the first assessment, if you have to repeat, then what about your graduating on time planning, right? Then you have to know how to send the notice of thesis submission. Fail to do all this can actually take more time for you to graduate. And then you plan to submit your thesis. You had to plan how long that you want your supervisor to read your thesis. Okay, any delay can also delay your graduating on time. And then your viva. And depending on the quality of your thesis and your presentation, Q&A, and you get your grade after your viva. And then you do the thesis correction. So up until the viva and then the correction, you are not sure how long that you would need, but you just plan ahead. If you want to finish by this time, I have to do this quality thesis, I have to defend my thesis, and I plan to have not more than probably, hopefully, not more than 3 to 6 months to correct your thesis. Then because the GOT time, the calculation is from you register until your Senate letter. Then you submit the hardcover, then you get your Senate letter. And convocation is just like a bonus, right? You already get your PhD when you got your Senate letter. So graduation requirement is very important. You have to know how many total credits that you have to take for graduation. You have to pass all the courses. Fees has to be paid and other requirements stated by the School of Graduate Studies. Not like the day Dr. Haider, I was the head of Department of Postgraduate Studies. The student want to submit the thesis, and suddenly when we check, the student has not passed the university subject. Can you imagine? Then
Oh,
the student had to take another semester and wait.
yes, yes,
So
true.
this is very dangerous. And you had to know your graduation requirement, what kind of publication that you had to have, like master by research. You had to produce in UTM at least one accepted or published publication from journal article or conference or proceeding or book chapter. Fail to do this, then you cannot submit your thesis. Then they will see, okay, where is your publication? That's why publication is also important. And you have to plan, not like, okay, I'm ready to submit my thesis, and suddenly, no, I have no paper. You know, it will take time to submit your paper, get it accepted. Okay, so planning ahead is important. And for PhD, you have to produce at least one index journal article and two index conference proceedings. Now it has been probably changed to they need at least probably two ISI, right, in other universities or two scopus. So you have to know your graduation requirement. Dr. Haida, I want to share some of my students' PhD journey. All right.
Yeah, sure, please. Please.
So in YouTube, do they put where they're from or whether they're all masters or PhD, doctor?
Yes, Prof. Some of them did it, and some are joining in between because and they are joining late, so they might not have heard. So please write down
Oh,
in your
okay.
comment section your country name and from where you are doing your PhD, please. In comments,
Yeah. If you can just introduce your name,
yes.
type there where your what is your university's name, whether you do your master's or you do your PhD. So after this, maybe Dr. Haida can read and just mention to me. So Q&A is much easier for me to, or I can add up to my points. Okay, just to share some of my students' PhD journey, you can imagine whether this is how long that you will GOT, and this is how many that you want to publish. The rules change. So from like 15 years ago until now, they probably change the rule of the publication depending on the requirement. So this is my first student, Dr. Haida. Dr. Fong, she's now a lecturer in UTM. So she graduated in 40 months. So this GOT, UTM, that's her thesis. And this is among the papers published by her in this journal. I didn't list down the number of papers. And I sent her for an attachment in the US for meeting with the co-supervisor that helped to share not just in Malaysia, but you can share it abroad. And send for conferences. One of the requirement is to have presentation at least one in the conference, but attending conference can help you a lot, meeting lots of people, especially go to conferences in your area. So you can present and they can ask question, comments, or probably give suggestion. So some of the conferences that she attended, but also she's very active in non-academic activities, being part of UTM orchestra. So this, and then Dr. Sheila, I forgot which number, doctor, but she's now working as a lecturer also, graduated in 37 months, so have some papers, and make sure that you send it at least scopus, so you can do all this citation is important, and book chapter, and also conferences. So plan ahead to attend conference, because right now use the opportunity of this. I mean, I would prefer physical conference, but you can also attend and meet people online and get your papers published from conferences. So this is another point to publish. And Dr. Gun, he's now in Taiwan. He's a fast track student, so first class undergraduate, and then go to PhD. And with graduating on time, with publication, with extracurricular activities, then you get another bonus of getting award during convocation. So he got Pro Chancellor Award, and his publication in, I didn't have the chance to write out all the, some of that I just put the in Web of Science. So these are just some of his papers and some scopus, and quite a number. You can see how it relate to the award that he received. And also he's very, very active in Wushu group, in committee, and also I sent him for a research attachment in Brasilia. I met the co-author in the conference in Turkey, and then we talked, and then I said, okay, I'll send my student there to your place so he can meet other people over there and other researcher. Dr. Haider, you also mentioned about Dr. Hazira as the youngest PhD holder at that time, at the age of 24. She's also a fast track student, and she finished within the 48 months. Okay. And this is her list of publication. And attending conferences all over the world. So she got to meet so many researchers in a very specific area of our area of group theory. So this to discuss, to participate in classes, to present in the seminar in other places, to get more ideas for the thesis. This one is Dr. Nozi. She's now in UNIZA in Malaysia. And I sent her for a few months in UK to meet again another professor in that particular topic of area of research. And also some of the publication, and also non-academic activities or academic activities. For me, it's very important. You don't want to just sit like 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 7 days a week just to look at your thesis research. You also have to mix with other people. You need your other skills, right? They call a soft skill for this. Attending conferences. So this is also need to be in your plan to attend conference. Dr. Ibrahim also from Nigeria, graduated on time and with extracurricular, with awards and others, with publication. He got alumni award from UTM. So some of the publication that he has for these 3 years, and also some conferences that he attended. I made sure each of my students attended our group theory conference. This is very specialized to our research. Also one local and at least one international, to meet with others and to present your findings. And also some activities. So you can be involved in like postgraduate student society, international student society, and other activities on campus. I share this because Dr. Alia is not only a full-time student, but was also working as a full-time teacher. And during this 46 months graduating on time, the Minister of Higher Education. She gave birth, and then she also wrote some novels during her PhD. So very amazing, actually. And Dr. Ayu, Dr. Nur Idayu is also a fast track student, and not yet no convocation photo because waiting for the next convocation. And this is her list of publication for that 3 years, and the academic activities like postgraduate society, president of this, vice president of this, and you can also join in your college or others. And the conference attended. Okay, so those are just some of so you can have the feeling of you can graduate on time. And this is how many publications. It depends on the research area also. There is no minimum or maximum, right, of the publication. But that is the basic rule that I would like to share. What is the requirement before you can submit your thesis? How to manage our time. How much time do we have in a day? Everyone has the same 24 hours a day. So you allocate the time for research. If you have to work, time to work. If you have family, you need to allocate time for family, but you also have to allocate time for yourself. That one is, you really need that. And you have to really schedule the planning. So every week, I will schedule what time that I should meet my student. If I have meetings, if I have to finish this, so it has to be in the schedule. Have discussion. If your supervisor cannot meet you physically, you can meet online. You are the one that have to go and chase your supervisor. I told my student, if I ask you, when are you meeting me? That means you have not done your job to be reminding me to meet. So these are just to share some discussion when we cannot meet physically. So we just meet in online platform, and I normally will want to meet with the co-supervisor of the students. Either they are locals or like Dr. Ibrahim is back now in Nigeria. He was my postdoctoral, so being a co-author to my student, and we have a co-supervisor from Iraq. So managing the time, and if I'm too busy during the day, probably 9 o'clock right now is a good time. And also in Iraq. I also have a student from Afghanistan. So I'm not saying thanks to COVID, but with this pandemic, we got to be also active online. Otherwise, we will not be here. You are in YouTube. I'm in this platform. So discussion. Sometimes it's unscheduled planning also. Like I was in leave or I was having breakfast and suddenly I want to meet my student. Okay, let's come and join me in McDonald's to have breakfast while we do some research together. And I used to play badminton, and after that we sit and we discuss. So this is unscheduled. And also make sure that you present your research progress, although your supervisor did not ask. If you cannot meet weekly, bi-weekly, just give a short report to your supervisor. At least if your supervisor did not reply your email, it's okay. At least probably your supervisor read it, but if your supervisor reply, that's good for you too. And the time that you need to prepare, and that makes you like, okay, I have to prepare this, I have to report to my supervisor. And I have mentioned about how you can GOT, but this is a good thing to share. 7 Habits of Highly Effective Graduate Student. There is another book, right? 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Be proactive. Take responsibility. Learn as much and ask questions. Some students, they are not proactive enough. You wait until your supervisor asks. You have to be proactive. Go and find help if you cannot find it here. Like we have online platform, everything is now, right? You don't have to go even to the library. So if you cannot understand something in a paper, you probably can go and ask the author, right? You can email and discuss. The author is the one that write the paper. So sometimes even I cannot help my student. This is not my paper, but I try to understand enough. But sometimes we do contact the author, and then we meet online, and even the author, somebody read my paper because our area is very specialized. So only the certain people that do that part of research will understand the paper. Okay, learn as much. Any program offered in the university, just join. Like today's, right? Dr. Haida is free and it's online. Ask question if you are not sure. Okay. Even you are scared of your supervisor or your lecturer in class, ask question. Begin with the end in mind. So put in your mind that why am I doing this PhD? What is the goal of my research? Why do I do this? Why do I need to further my study? Okay, you have to have that. This is the beginning. You need to end this. And like, I'm not sure why am I doing this. You have to begin with the end in mind. Put first thing first. So prioritize. If you have to do this first. Should I finish 20 papers before I write my thesis? You see, I have shared about my students how you can finish, and this many papers you can still publish after you send your thesis, and waiting for viva you can still publish, right? Think win-win, have an everyone can win attitude, meaning, for example, you contact the author, right? And the author, oh, somebody is citing my paper. So, and you can discuss. And sometimes you found an error in a paper that even the author did not realize, right? That also happened. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. So you have to listen to people sincerely. Always have a positive thinking. Yeah, synergize and work together. So if your supervisor, like me, having this many students, probably you can work together, just exchange ideas and synergize. Not only just about you talk about it, go contact people, probably not only from your field. Sharpen your saw, renew yourself regularly. Like you have heard about this sharing probably 1,000 times. You are still here because you want to listen, because you want to sharpen your saw. Probably the library offer how to publish in a reputable journal. You have been to one. Probably it's a different, probably you will learn something new. So just join. Okay, this is interesting. During your PhD, how to manage your supervisor. Yeah, I mentioned earlier already that some students, they are afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to tell your supervisor that this is what you think. I have tried this, right? If you think that you are right. If you're not sure, your supervisor is so sure, okay, let me try again. And come prepared. Don't come and meet your supervisor without any preparation, right? Be prepared. And after meeting, I normally will tell my students. Sometimes I forget, I have so many students. So write a report after we meet. Remind me, put in your logbook so I will remember this is what we have discussed, especially when you come to the next meeting. Then refresh my memory and seek help from others. Okay, work together, contact the authors of the paper in your references. Probably you get something new, and some of the students, sometimes the author of that reference paper become the co-author of the student's paper, and some of them, they went to visit that professor in a different country. This can happen, or not physically, just visit online and meet online. And you have to have a good working environment. Is it a very comfortable place that you are working from? Some students, probably they like to just sit on the floor. They don't like to sit on a chair. Some I told me they like to sit under the table. So where you are comfortable, yeah. If you sit in the library, I would like to sit at a table that I can put all my reference books, a big table. I cannot sit like just a small table. So find a workstation. Find probably library. Right now, border is open if you can go back to your university. And how to manage your research. Okay. I mentioned about the very first time that you are introduced or being introduced or found your supervisor, to find someone which is a vet in that area of research. But if your supervisor is not really in the same research as, you cannot blame the supervisor. They probably, because it's your PhD, is your thesis, right? But you can always get help from others by, as I mentioned earlier, conferences, meeting other people's, right? And I mentioned about this planning. Okay, each and every one of my student always update their Gantt chart from the very first semester. I want to see your Gantt chart until all the 3 years, and then every early semester I would want them to show me the Gantt chart for that particular semester. One semester is 3 months, around that 18 weeks. So show me what you will do and whether you will achieve this. And down there, there's the technology transfer activities. I want to know whether you have planned for conference proceedings, or you plan to publish these papers, or you plan to join some exhibition, okay, and update this. So you will see ahead and whether you achieve or not achieve, because this sometimes can change. So these students have that, the conferences you see down there, all the name. So it can help also with your publication. It can also put things together later in your thesis. And for publication, you need to plan. Everything you need to plan. At least probably a review paper in your very first semester. Huh? First semester you want me to write a paper? Yes, it is possible. Some students, they even start before they register. They contact the supervisor, okay, I want to register in 2-3 months. I have start reading now, okay, this is, and then it is possible. Yeah, some review papers you can even publish in Q1, Q2, the journal. In conferences, whether you want to go every semester or every year, some of them free, offered by the university, right? Some of them they're online, they're not that expensive, but it depends if physical. In Scopus, index journals, or in Q, because if you only plan to submit, this happened, Dr. Haida, the student just want to send to like Q1 or Q2, then that's the only paper. And then the student cannot get it accepted and published until the semester that is supposed to send the thesis. So at least you get one or two to cover, because the requirement is not Q1, right? So get some to cover the requirement, and then try to send to the best journal. All right. Plan for attending a publication or related workshops, as I mentioned earlier. You know, sometimes students said, I'm not ready to send my abstract to this conference, but is the conference tomorrow? No. When the deadline is tomorrow, the conference is like 2-3 months, right? You still have time to get more results. But you have to be confident that you will get the results in 2-3 months. And students sometimes, oh, now I get the result, but I passed the deadline of the abstract. So you cannot join the conference at that time. And this is a compulsory for this, every student to have this readily available in your calendar, academic calendar of the university. Okay, when the university will be closed, when will be open, when is the public holiday, when the thesis is due, when registration. So this is very important, and this will make sure that your planning is on track. Yeah. I have mentioned about the early planning or future planning of these seminars, conferences, publication, notice of submission of thesis. Normally in UTM, you have to submit 3 months before. It can actually delay if you, yeah, I'm ready to submit my thesis. Suddenly you have not submit your notice of submission of thesis. To give the name, your supervisor needs to give the name of the internal and external examiners. And your supervisor have to do some homework actually, because they don't want to give the names of those who already retired or have so many theses in hand and so forth, right? So in its planning. And at least you have to have a table of content early. Show your supervisor, is this okay? Is this enough for my thesis? Then you start with the thesis writing, and then you discuss with your supervisor, can I give you like when I finish chapter 3? Because chapter 1 and chapter 2 you have to finish last, right? Like normally the introduction, or I mean in UTM is how we write the literature review, wait until we finish with everything. So the result chapter first. Can I give you just one chapter? Can you just see whether I'm going on the right track? This is what I do with my student. And then another chapter, first draft, second draft, third draft. I mean, that is what I do with my students. Then you get ready for the viva, slides, because you don't need to present so much, right? In like 20 minutes. So what you have to present and the question and answers, this will determine actually your grade, your thesis, and your how do you present it, how do you answer question and answer, what grade that you get, how long that you have to do your correction. So this will give all the time for whether you will graduate on time or not before you do the final submission. So factors of not GOT, probably when even the time during Viva, sometimes when the examiner said, can you explain your methodology? And the student failed to explain what kind of methodology that you use, or this has been used by others, right? Some students, they have problems of isolation. They cannot be with themselves. They need to be with people. During this pandemic, sometimes some students have problem of isolation and they cannot think. They have to be, and I mean this, but things are getting better, right, Doctor? So hopefully then you will come back to the campus and meet your friends again. Some students, they have more serious commitment given to life outside research, that they tend to neglect their research. Some, they are not familiar and they don't ask questions, they don't get help. Some of them, they are lack of understanding, not certain uncertainty of their own capability, and high level of anxiety. Some, they fail to meet the expectation of the supervisor. And somehow you have to be in the same path and discuss with your supervisor, because your supervisor is the one that will sign your thesis before you can submit. Yeah. And have to be there in your viva, right? Like physical constraint, you cannot come to lab, right? Sometimes financial constraint, job commitments. This is why some are not GOT. Okay, I have mentioned about the viva process. You have to be ready. What do you need to bring? Okay, you can discuss, because your supervisor might have been in so many viva, right? And then the thesis correction. So preparation for the viva, when you qualified for the viva, and then you finish for first assessment. These are kind of steps for viva, right? What to present in the viva, what to bring. You have to bring all your publication, you have to bring all your references in E, right? In the document, if they need you to show, okay, is this citation true from this reference? And you can show it. How do you handle question and answers? That's another session, Dr. Haider. Do's and don'ts during Viva. And all my students, I will ask them to have one mock Viva with the friends one time, and then with me, so I can see whether this is the right explanation, and then I try to ask question and answer. And this is also very important. How do you find appropriate journals in your research area, right? The easiest way is when you use that particular paper as your reference, then that journal or the reference in that paper, you can find uh, more ideas to send your papers to the same journals or the journals in the reference. And make sure that the index journal is much better. And some journals, they just ask for money, right? So uh, you, I think for the, as I mentioned earlier, yeah, Q1, Q2, Q3, or Q4, everyone wants to send to that. But you have to keep in mind that sometimes some of them, they will take time. Okay, so I would suggest that you discuss again. Your supervisor is there. Okay, which one is to more appropriate, because the journal can give so many different excuse for not accepting your paper. So if your reference in your paper is from that journal, there is no reason for the journal to say it's not under our scope, right? At least. And follow the journal template, so they don't have a reason like you don't follow our template or it's not in our scope. At least get somebody to review, so even if they reject, then you can see the reviewers comments, which is good. And as a conclusion, both are important. To graduate on time, everyone wants to graduate on time. If you do your PhD, then you want that doctor title, right? And then you also need to have publication, because after you graduate, you probably want to do postdoctoral, or you want to apply as a lecturer, and institutions and others, they will want to see your publication. This also how they differentiate you from the other candidate. So with that, Dr. Haider, thank you very much. All the best to all of you. And think about you wearing the gown in the convocation. This was some time ago when 3 of my PhD students graduated, and all the others, they're all PhD students. So give them like, wow, I want to be you wearing that also, so they can graduate. You are welcome to visit my website there. There is my website. And if you are in my area, you can read my papers there. That's my email. Welcome if you have any further inquiry, and or we can get connected in LinkedIn. And I also share quite a number of my sharing before in my YouTube. All use that name, Dr. Haider. So I pass back to you. Thank you.
Yes, Prof. Thank you very much, and really superb session it was with you, Prof. Very nicely you have started it from the GOT, that what is the time duration, and then very nicely you have mentioned each and everything, the requirements, and I love the part of that research planning and your phrase that plan ahead of the things. That's the wonderful thing, that you must know the requirements, you must know how to approach to the supervisors, how to have a meeting with him, and most importantly, the way you have shown the highly effective habits that you need to prepare yourself in advance. And then each and everything, Prof, you have included right from the Viva, the questions, and the other things. and particularly the journals. Very nicely you have mentioned that you have to prepare yourself in advance, because it takes very long time, and it
Mm-hmm.
was just like all the time we were thinking that when it will get accepted, when it will get accepted, because everything is very much connected. And
Right.
you have very nicely mentioned that sometimes we are ready to submit, but have we gone through the all requirements we have met right from the creditors, that whether the
Mm-hmm.
creditors are met properly. They, our in my University of Malaya, they required the Malay certificate as well, that have we gone through the language course or not, and we have passed it or not. So again, along with the publication, we have other requirements to fulfill, and if you have fulfilled, only then you can move it. Prof, very nicely you have included each and everything. I would say that it was a recap from my time over there. It started
Mm-hmm.
from the journey while taking to the University of Malaya, and then how did I met with my supervisor, the guidance, and very nicely you have mentioned that whenever you go to see your supervisor, you have to be very prepared, because we
Mm-hmm.
will take our diary and pen, and we show our progress, and then we have to drop our draft over there, and we'll be
Right.
collecting our previous draft, and so much discussion regarding the conferences, so many things. So it was just like a recap, and you have very nicely collected the 3 year story within this 40 to 50 minutes very nicely. And I believe that is the eye opening session for the upcoming PhD students who are in this journey, that because you have include A to Z everything right from the
Mm-hmm.
getting admission to the
Right.
viva, and particularly to the convocation, because you have very nicely mentioned that everything counts till the Senate letter you get it. So I would say you have a 80 to 90% question you have already addressed, because you have included each and everything. But since we have other questions as well, since you are the expert academic leader, we definitely want to listen to the queries the student they have mentioned. And I believe it's very genuine and so wonderful when you will listen to it, and you will also have a understanding that yes, how worried they are and how concerned they are about the PhD journey and the challenges
Right.
particularly. Prof, you have asked the question. Mostly the students are from Pakistan and Malaysia, and from the
Mm-hmm.
different universities. They have written they are from the master student, from the MPhil student, from the PhD student, from different university. We will be just taking the question. Very nicely, you have included each and everything, but since they need your explanation on that. So, should we start with the first question, please? Yes, Prof. So the first question is very nice, and they want to have your opinion on it. To say that, Prof, please guide us about the role of encouragement in the PhD. I'm the PhD student, and encouragement has a great role in a PhD journey. What do you say about self encouragement? As most of the time we get the notion to do more from our supervisor, from our seniors, from our parents, and from the friends. So please just give some tips that how can we have a self encouragement in this lonely journey. Yes, please.
Yeah. Sometimes we don't think positive. To me, I always had to think positive. When even you wake up in the morning and look forward for the day, right? So find something that you will find a reason for you to, okay, today I have to wake up. Oh, I'm really looking forward to go to the office because I want to do this, right? And sometimes we think that other people are better than us, and that's why we feel like, okay, why can't I do this? You start comparing with others. You have to have the belief in yourself, believe that you can do it, and that's why you are here doing your PhD. Otherwise, even you cannot finish your masters, but you are there, and you have to be friends with the right people. Okay, not encouragement from just the others, but to be encouraged by close friends is very, very encouraging also. It's very beneficial also. Yeah. I had a student who not used to be alone because always have friends, and suddenly there's COVID and stay alone. If you need to stay and forget for a while, and then when you are ready, go back. But everything is from inside us. So it's very hard to sometimes you got stuck, right? Just to me, I have a hobby. So every time I get stuck with something, I go back and I do collection like stamps collecting or coins. Then I forget a little bit about, because sometimes I also solve math problems, right? And then okay, let me do this and then come back. And then it probably it's not the time, but you don't come back like after one semester. Just take a break, and just positive thinking is very, very important, just to keep yourself always up, have something to look forward to every day. If you cannot do this, probably, oh, I cannot solve this, probably today I just go and google some other papers, see what people have done, or probably just talk to my friend or find somebody who is probably the same area. So many things that you can do, especially right now you can meet like this. I can see Dr. Haider's face, right? At least I'm talking to somebody. Doctor.
Yes, very nicely said, Prof. Thank you very much for such a wonderful answer. I loved it because it started with the be positive. In PhD, we love this statement of being positive person. If you are a positive, you will get the answers. Everything will be done with the due time. And you have very nicely given a suggestion that go out for creation, go and listen to other talks, listen to the download the new papers and read it. It will benefit you. So very nicely said. Thank you very much, Prof. Prof, we have another very interesting question, and this is the a PhD student who got stuck and now is stressed. So wants your opinion on that. The prof, dear prof, currently I am stuck in my PhD research work. It looks like that I have reached to dead end. Please, prof, please guide me. Does every PhD student feels at any level of his PhD that he or she has reached to the dead end? Please, because my supervisor says keep on digging the literature and you will find the way. So is it the way to solve my problem? Please guide me. Yes, prof.
So to answer your question, yes, it's very normal. It's a part of PhD life that you get stuck. Probably you think it's a dead end at that particular time. And I remember one of my PhD students, he was doing solve this objective, this kind of problem. He got stuck. And then he started something else and something new. And while doing this, another problem, which is actually can be linked to this problem, he found that actually the method that he used for this cannot work at all. And don't get stuck and not move. Try to go around it, and probably, as mentioned by supervisor, sometimes it's your PhD. We can only give you advice. If I'm the one that do everything, then give me another PhD. But yeah, that is another to sometimes the more dangerous one, doctor, is that the student has done this and have done this for so many months, probably a year, and found out that it has been published somewhere else. So although you have not seen this paper, but whatever you are doing here is already done by somebody else. So you have to do something else. So the point is, do lots of literature review, do lots of, probably somebody else have done similar methodology, okay? And probably you have to change your methodology, probably you have to change your scope, and try to break up into pieces. Sometimes we want to go and solve the whole problem, but we forget that actually you have to start from the small cases. So I cannot solve your problem in specific, but sometimes we get stuck in one way. You probably have different objective. You probably have to can change some methodology, talk to people. Sometimes that people just listen when you talk it out, and it came back to you yourself. You get the idea back to you. And sometimes you need to talk it out, talk to your supervisor. Again, if there is somebody that's doing similar things, probably from the paper, contact others that you can discuss together. That's some suggestions that I can give.
Exactly.
But never give up. Okay,
Yes.
never give up, and
Yes.
try to go around it. And probably you have to change a little bit. It's normal. If you think that you are the only one that is stuck, it's very normal. Happen to most of the PhD students.
Yes, Prof. Superb answer, wonderful. And that's what whatever Prof you say, it impacts a lot because you have produced so many PhDs and still you are guiding so many, and you have seen the experiences that people get stuck. But you have given a wonderful suggestion of that do extensive literature review, because once you do it, the ways will come out. And very nicely you have mentioned that look at your objectives and particularly the methodology, what you are going to come up with the new methodology. And very nicely you have again mentioned that the role of the your friends, do talk to the other people, listen to them. But of course, if you have a backup knowledge of literature review, only then you can move forward, you can discuss with the people very nicely. And these were the suggestions that we were getting throughout our PhD life till we get our Viva passed. Our seniors, they used to discuss with us, and we used to discuss with them a lot of problems. And it is, I loved your one of the picture in which you have mentioned the master, which was the straight path, and then the PhD, which was the snake kind of path. So it is always like that. Sometimes you feel at the peak of everything, and sometimes you
Mm-hmm.
feel down, but you
Right.
have to move towards your destination, which is wonderful thing. Very
Mm-hmm.
nicely said. Thank you very much, Prof. Another Prof, very interesting question, and it is a kind of question as well as a comment. So they want to listen your thoughts on it. That Prof, do you think after completing your PhD, your personality also changes, as we have to develop a lot of patience to listen to a lot of criticism, etc.? Can we say it is the byproduct of the PhD, a lot of patience? Yes, please.
Well, yeah, PhD teach you lots of patience, and it depends also on the individual. You probably are already a patient someone, right? But PhD will teach you a lot. That's why you see from my presentation, I encourage my students to not only do your research but also to join with others in many activities, and among others, join, like we have Toastmasters club. They uh, now you can do communication over there. You can polish your leadership skill. This is what you do after you get PhD, because then you will go to the real world of having to also not only do research, you still have to do research, but supervise teaching and so many other things. So some of the PhD students, when they graduate and they work, and they said, I wish I'm still a PhD student. You think you want to finish early and finish so you can work. When you go to work, then you want to go back, enjoy your PhD life. But to me, the time that you go through teach you how to be more patient. And as a supervisor also, I really need to be very patient. At least some students, they already stress sometimes with the research, and they come to you, they want to seek your guidance. Some of them, they push you, so far not to the limit. But any time that they need help, they're looking for the supervisor, because supervisor is the one that they thought can help them to overcome the difficulties. So you need to be able to manage also. That's why I said how to manage your supervisor, even for supervisor, how to manage the student, how to manage your time. And because you also have other life, right? Some of you have your family, so need to control everything. And the keyword, Dr. Still, to be positive. That's why.
Yeah. Yes, Prof. Very nicely said once again. I'm enjoying the way you are giving the answer because it is the blend of the exposure and experiences you have gone through and you are going through. It is so nice. I wish I could have these kind of guidance at the start of my PhD journey. It would have been much easier for me because people like you, they give a lot of guidance, which is very much enlightenment for us. We have very another interesting question that is from a PhD student from the Capital University of Science and Technology, Pakistan, Mushtaq Malik. He wants to ask that, Prof, what is your recommended time frame to write each chapter of PhD thesis? Particularly, he wants to ask about the your students in how much time they complete the chapters because this is also the PhD student and he wants to get graduate on time. Yes, please.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good question, actually. How do you prepare for this? So, for my particularly students, because they have gone through many conferences, as I shared just now, then from the conferences, they have presentations, so slides, right? And then they have papers from there. So, publication, conferences, papers, those is actually the content of your thesis. So when you plan your objective, it depends also. I cannot say this for everyone, but as of our area, sometimes most of the time the objective is matched to the paper or matched to the chapters. So when the students go through one objective, finish this for the paper, and then later on, well, when they come in semester 5, right, after 2 years, then they can start putting all together because they have covered the requirement for the publication within these 2 years. Okay, most of them have covered, so they already have like 2 index papers within those 2 years. So in the 5th semester, because you want to submit in the 6th semester, okay, some of them submit in the beginning of the 6th semester. Then everything will be done with the hardcover by the end of the 6th semester. If you send by the end of 6th semester, then you probably need another semester before your Senate letter. And that is 7 semesters altogether, right? But still graduate on time. So, and then what I told my student, when do you want to submit your thesis actually? Okay, when they said, we go to the end of 6th semester, you have to know when is the last date, right? And then go back. I need at least a month before you submit to the faculty so I can read the thesis for you. That is the final draft. And then go back, and then go back, and suddenly they said, oh, next month I have to submit. So you if you some of them, they want to complete all as a one whole first draft, but I would need at least, I normally will not take more than 1 month, doctor, to read the complete one, but I will go probably 3 rounds. So from here that you want to submit end of semester 6, then you go back because you need to do Turnitin and others, right? So the final draft, then you have to do correction, you go back. So 2 months before this, you have to send to your supervisor. You have to start from like probably, if you have done it, you have your results. But when you put everything in, papers are different from thesis. Thesis is like you write a story and it has to be linked nicely so when people read, they know why this and then this and then this and this chapter. So some students, they said, oh, I already have 50 papers. I said, you probably have 50 papers, is okay, but don't think that you will ace your viva just because you have 50 papers. is different. PhD is Doctor of Philosophy, depending on how you write your thesis and how do you put it together and how you can explain it well to your examiners. So that's, I cannot give you like it has to be 2 months before, or it depends. But fifth semester is a good time to start on working, getting more results, or probably the last final result, but to start your thesis, because sometimes 6 semester already you need to submit. If you start in 6 semester, maybe you cannot finish by the end of the semester. Time flies very fast, yeah, right now. That's my answer, Dato.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much, Prof. Such a wonderful answer to it. I'm really enjoying the answers that you have given to us. So we have to wrap up this session. Prof, one last question, which a lot of students have asked, and my own personal question as well. That Prof, how do you manage the time? Because the way you are contributing to the world and field, you are publishing, you are guiding the student, you are doing the university works, you are there in conferences, you are there in Toastmasters Club, you are there in the keynote speeches, and so many commitments. We see you on different platforms performing wonderful. How do you manage your time, please? Give us some tips.
Doctor, so many students ask me this, and I will say I have 48 hours a day. I'm just joking. Well, actually, plan your time ahead. You need to plan your time because I'm also an administrator. You know, in UTM International, I have lots of meetings, but I'm also half in the faculty. I'm also teaching. So I try to manage your time, and the one that I put just now, prioritize, right? Because I also have family. When I go back, I also have to cook at home and others. So you have to be healthy. You have to have enough sleep. Some students, sometimes they cannot be so productive because they thought that, oh, I only have 4 hours to sleep because I need more hours to work. And turn out that you cannot be productive. So I need to have my 6 hours sleep every day, wake up, and then 5 minutes is like be punctual all the time. And to me, 1 2 minute is like a golden minute. So plan ahead. And my students will know my schedule. I didn't share just now, but I will share my one whole week schedule with my student. This is my meeting, this is this, and these are the time that I'm free. So they will slot in. So I give the time for all my students if they want to meet me, if they can find the time within that week, because I also have to manage other things as an administrator. So your priority is very important, and sometimes you need to say no just because I got a lot of like to be a reviewer, and some of them I had to turn down. I have also a lot of requests for students, but the candidate to be my students. Also, I said I cannot have. I have only one per semester. The students that I have right now is different semesters, so spread them out. So every year there will be someone graduating. So one already finished the Viva. I'm expecting another one to submit this semester and one next semester. And you need to share with the student that you have this time only. Uh, Make sure that I have the time to, because I need to look at all the papers before they have to send. All the slides normally I will check. So pass to me, not like tomorrow is the deadline, today you want to pass to me. No, like at least 3 working days, I told them. So they need to be disciplined. You need to be disciplined, punctual, and again, plan ahead. That's my
Yes,
answer.
Prof. Yes, Prof. Very nicely said. Once again, you have given a wonderful suggestion to it. because you are getting what the work life balance is. You are managing everything. You are the reviewer, you are the publisher, you are the supervisor, at the same time you are the cook as well, and you enjoy your time with your family as well. So you are giving the message to the world that yes, you can do all the things and you have still the 24 hours, and you try to manage it and you give the priority to everything. Really, Prof, such a great session it was with you. A lot of new things we have learned from you, and the way you explained was so wonderful. Your explanation was great. The powerful content which you have explained is so nice and really so appreciable.
Thank
Prof, what is your message to the world as a speaker, author, teacher, researcher, trainer, learner, professional, and educator? Yes, please.
To me, I have to enjoy and love what I do. And I do what I love also. And I have shared so many hints like punctuality, positivity, and my last point would be try your best and do your best. So, with that, all the best of luck to all of you.
Mm.
Hopefully, you all graduate on time. But don't worry if you don't graduate on time. I told my students, you at least you graduate and then you get your PhD.
Oh, nice, nice, wonderful, Prof. Thank you very much. What a great message you have given to the world. Indeed, you can overcome all the PhD challenges, but you need a little bit right guidance and strategies. And Prof has already shared a lot of wonderful strategies and a lot of guidance for you people to learn from it. We definitely recommend to follow the distinguished guest speaker through her research work, and you can email her for future learning and guidance. She is very generous and always ready to help the people. That is all we have time for today. Thank you once again, Professor Dr. Noor Haniza Sarman, Prof.
Thank you.
Niza. And also, I would like to thank our audience who joined us. If you have any additional question about information shared today, please email to us or connect with the Prof directly through her email address that linked in the social media. Thank you all for your support and liking our session. Stay tuned as many sessions are on the way. Please do not miss any session. Until next session, take care of yourself